Good morning. So let's start. We're going to talk about bioenergy. So what's bioenergy? We've seen a lot of aspects those few minutes, but the first one is biofuel. Typically making fuel that can offset traditional fuel for transport, like bioethanol, biodiesels, and other like biomethanol, and also in gas form, like biomethane or biohydrogen. The second part of it is biopower. So how can we generate power with biomass? So basically make heat from biomass, like traditional, cogeneration for electricity and heat, and it could be also some energy storage solutions, like methanation and all these power-to-gas technologies. The third part is bioproducts. So we already talked a lot in the previous talk, but how can we make products, appliances like bioplastic and different biochemicals from biomass? So this somehow is kind of redefining the oil and gas industry, but can we really do that? So let's have a look at where we are now. So this is the world yearly energy production in exajoule. So for those who might wonder, an An exajoule is 10 to the power 18 joules, so a 1 with 18 zero after it, so it's big numbers. And if we look at the world yearly production, we are roughly at 600 exajoule a year. And you can see that bioenergy actually already occupies like 10% of it. And you may also notice that bioenergy is more than nuclear power and far more than any other kind of renewable energy today. And we can also compare it to what do we use this energy for. And most of it is power, and inside it most of it is heat for all these industrial process. And then second come losses, because all these processes do have some losses. And then fuel for transportation, and finally all products, like all the petrochemical industry. Okay. So let's zoom now into this bioenergy. Where does it come from? So remember, we have around 60 exajoule of bioenergy in the world, and the biggest part of it comes from agriculture. More than half, actually. Then it comes into forestry and waste for almost the same amount. And what is it used for? So mostly power, once again, loss and biofuel. Given that right now bioplastic are still like not visible on this graph. And we can even zoom more. So where does it come from in this agriculture? So most of it come from agricultural residue like straw and all these things, and it's a very traditional way we use bioenergy. We take straw and cook with it or make fire with it. And then 11 exajoule come from energy crops like maize, colza, that are built into and blended into biofuels. 12 exajoules come from forestry. And then, yes, most of the energy from the waste comes from municipal waste, like recovery from landfills or incineration with two power plants. And we can also zoom into why do we use it, and still the biggest part of it is traditional cooking. So basically picking up wood and burning it to cook, and then goes into industry, electricity generation, building and heating. And for the biofuel, like 4/5 of it is liquid biofuel, and 1 exajoule is about biogases. So biogas, biomethane, biohydrogen. Okay, so can we scale up? So let's go together on this scaling up process. So that's according to Department of Energy's what can look like bioenergy in 2040. So 160 exajoule, so we almost triple, and we have some newcomers here. So one of the newcomers are those marginal land crops. So this can be of woody or herbaceous crops like miscanthus that can be grown on land that is not usable for food. Agriculture, another newcomer is algae. So we already talk a lot. There is a huge potential to grow algae, even it's a fairly high cost, but high quality bioresource. And then we can see also a lot of new kind of waste that have popped up here. So basically industry waste, so in all those food processing, paper processing, there is a lot of bioresources that are not totally underutilized, that can be efficiently used to produce power and fuel. We have those harvest waste, so they are somehow different from those agricultural residue because it's like all the food or things that could not collect it, like rotten fruits and stuff like that, and manure from farm raising that can be really scaled up. And forestry is roughly stable in this view. Okay? So that's a significant scale up. Huh? If we watch here, we go for 60 exajoules to 160 exajoules, so we say like close to threefold growth, and with really new lines. And if we compare back to our today energy mix, bioenergy comparable to what we use on coal today. So that's really a significant amount of energy. So if we look back at all those energy, at one point we should realize that all energies are not equal. So the lowest cost of value energy is heat, even though that's the one we use the much, but it's typically in the around $10 per gigajoule of heat. Then come electricity. Electricity can produce work, and is roughly around $20 per gigajoule. And then we have fuel. Fuel have this ability to store energy, to be readily storable, which electricity does not have. And we got typically around $30 per gigajoule. And on the other high of the spectrum, we have some form of energy that have much higher value, such as bioplastic, biochemicals, value added like proteins. So we can just plot the cost of feedstock here around the value you can have from this energy. And so typically here we have feedstock that actually cost nothing, or you are even paid to get it, like waste, sludge, industrial waste, municipal waste. They are all, and roughly they are here around minus 20, 25, of course it can vary, dollar per gigajoule. Then if we go on to the price of feedstock, we have all those agricultural residue, forestry, marginal land crops that stand here around this 10 to 15 dollar per gigajoule. And then as we raise up energy crops, and yeah, this one new is popping up, we already told about it, but carbon capture can be seen also as a source of bioenergy. Once you have this carbon, mix it with energy, and it's a feedstock for carbon-based system. So, and it's here around $50 per gigajoule. And on the top of the spectrum, we have algae, which is by far the most expensive feedstock. But it can generate very high value protein. And we see that here we have a first opportunity windows for feedstocks that are very expensive, but that lead to process that can produce very high value energy forms, if you will. And then we have a second opportunity windows here toward making chemicals and middle value, let's say, resources. And they match with all those carbon capture energy crops spots. And we have another big sweet spot, which is cheap bio resource that match really and have a really driving force to produce its electricity, so biopower and fuel. So, if there is two messages that you can take home with you, is one, bioenergy is a sizable energy source. So right now it's by far the most important renewable energy source that we have at our disposal. It represents 10% of the world energy production, so 60 exajoule. And it can be scaled to something around 160 exajoule, which roughly corresponds to today's coal energy output. The second point is that there is several opportunity windows in bioenergy. I think the number one is making biopower and biofuel from cheap feedstock, so namely waste, agricultural residue, and marginal land crops. The second opportunity windows is in bioplastics and biochemicals from energy crops and carbon capture. And the third opportunity windows is like high-end bioproducts from algae and carbon capture. So, thanks a lot for your kind attention. And see.
Thank you, Dr. Vernede. Thank you. Appreciate it.